All right, and welcome back to our second section on editing photos in Photoshop Elements version 14. Last time we looked at some of the functions within the auto adjustments area, so this time we're going to look at the toolbar and the menu. Bunch of different examples going to go on here. What is the chase? We're going to have to practice. So my suggestion, watch this section carefully, review it again if you so choose, but then get on the software and start practicing some of the things you learned right away. All right, let's go ahead and begin with our trip to Zion National Park in southern Utah. Let's begin, as we always do, by loading up a bunch of photos. Oh, well, it looks like I got one here that's a video, and Photoshop, of course, doesn't know how to deal with that. So it's complaining. That's okay. Just close that down. We'll deal with that video later when we get to use it Premiere. Also, please note that I'm opening a bunch of very large photos here, all while I'm also running my screen capture and word processing software. So things are going to go a little slower than they'll probably go on your box. The way to speed things up is, of course, to either open up fewer photos or get a more powerful laptop. I'm working here in just a little i3. All right, looks like we're done loading. Let's start with our standard quick review and removal of any obvious dupes or bad shots. Okay, right off here at the beginning, 4806 and 4807 are clearly dupes. So let's go ahead and close and delete 4807. Hey, did you notice how I right-clicked on a photo down here in the project bin and then selected the Show Files Name option to help us identify these things a little easier? Let's also expand this project bin area a little bit so we can preview the thumbnails rather than clicking through. Oh yeah, that's better. Now I'm looking at 4837 here. Looks like it is a little out of focus, and I have about 1,000 Red Rock pictures, so let's go and put him in a trash can. Oh yeah, 4844 and 4845 are almost identical, so I'll go ahead and close. And then delete 4845. About this one, those of you who have been to the Taj Mahal know what I'm trying to do here. But fortunately, my wife didn't quite understand where I was going with this one, so it doesn't look too cool. And it also makes me look like I'm overweight more than I actually am. Well, maybe not, but it still makes me look overweight. So yeah, 4875, you're gone too. The rest of these look okay. I think we'll start this section with this as our potential examples. All right, let's work on this shot, as it clearly needs a good cropping to get my big stomach out of the shot. We begin by clicking on the crop tool from within the toolbar. But you ask, how do I know it's the crop tool? Well, if you just hover your mouse over it, the function label will display and let you know what that particular icon does. When we do click it, we get this rule of thirds grid by default. Remember that from our earlier discussion of photo composition? Place your primary subject at one of the intersections, and if possible, your secondary subjects at the opposing intersection. Okay, now it looks pretty good. So we implement the crop by clicking the check mark. Alternatively, had you not liked the results, you can simply back out by clicking a little circle with the line through it. But before we accept this, let's take a look at this stuff going on down here in the project bin. By the way, did you notice that when I chose a tool that the project bin converted to a collection of options for that tool? Check out the very bottom here. I can also toggle back and forth. First off, we have this drop-down box over here on the left. By default, your cropping is unrestricted, basically allowing you to create a photo of any vertical, horizontal proportions. But what, for example, if you were planning on printing some of these guys? 4x6 is a standard print size. We'd better restrict our crop to those same proportions. No problem, still looks and works out pretty well. What is this other stuff down here? Well, pretty self-explanatory. In this area, Photoshop was nice enough to give you a couple of cropping suggestions. No, I don't like any of those. A couple of unit options, and then an option to change the grid. But you know what? I still like our original unrestricted condition best, so I'm going to go back to that and then save as a new version to retain the original. Come on, admit it. This is starting to get really exciting. We are making some amazing photos here. All right, our next example, we're going to straighten a shot where the horizon is out of whack. Hey, it happens to all of us. You have your camera a little crooked when you're taking a shot. For example, check out this shot of us coming out of a tunnel into these beautiful mountains. Great, except it's terribly crooked. No problem, let's fix it. We begin by clicking on the Straighten Tool button. The project bin tells us what to do next. Easy peasy. Just draw a line along the true horizon. I can do that. Photoshop kindly fills in the rest of the photo for us, such that a quick smart fix and then crop will put us back in the game. You know what? I still think we're a little crooked. Let's do that horizon thing again. You know what also? I don't like the contrast very well here. Let's go up here to the menu and pick Enhance, Adjust Lighting, Brightness, and Contrast. We'll move the brightness down a little and the contrast up. And oh man, we've got an amazing shot. While we're here, let's darken the highlights a little and maybe even increase the midtones. Oh, I like that a lot. Well done. Time to save and replace because the original was just junk. I want you to check out this photo. I don't know what I was thinking when this was taken, but shooting that roadside sign in the foreground pretty much blew the shot. Yeah, but what if we could just magically remove it? Well, let me introduce you to the spot healing tool. Before we do though, let's first zoom in a little so I can draw better, and then move the image around with my hand tool such that the sign is in the middle of where our work area is. I first pick the tool and then hold down my left mouse button while I color in the entire area I want updated. When I release my left mouse button, Photoshop fills in the colored area with the color, saturation, texture, and contrast taken from the immediate surrounding area. Ta-da! Pretty darn cool. Our stop sign or whatever the heck it was is gone. But let's make it even a little better. Let's switch over to the healing brush. This guy's going to allow me to copy some of this foliage over here and then use it to recreate a tree-like or a shrub-like figure over here. Sign him up. That's pure magic. My recommendation, if there are parts of a shot that make it problematic, consider fixing them with this tool. Blemishes on someone's face, dark rings under the eyes. Nobody wants them. Clean them up with the spot healing tool and move on. All right, one more example and we'll call this section a wrap. For this one, I want to use this shot of my lovely wife. Just watch and enjoy while I put a little text on this image. I'll start by just selecting the text tool and then clicking on the image where I want to put my message. Easy enough. All right, just for some interesting effect, let's put a little aliasing on that text. Very nice. We'll call that good enough. Let's save and move on. All right, I hope you found that just as entertaining as did I. We have now moved from not only using the auto adjustment area functions, but also to the toolbar and menu functions of the Quick tab. Well done. My suggestion, practice with these guys now for several days possibly reviewing each of the last two sections if necessary before you start moving on any further, such that you have a good handle on the functions we've already covered, because the amazing things you can do with just what we've already done. If you start feeling comfortable after that, then move on to the Expert tab and start looking at some of the additional functions you have available to you there. Good enough. All right, let's review what we learned in this section. We started, as we always do in Photoshop, by opening a bunch of files and doing a quick review and cull of those we no longer want. We moved on then to the functioning of the cropping tool. Very easy to use. Remember the rule of thirds. Things helping you out, so go ahead and use it. We then moved on to the straightening horizontal tool. Remember the image we had of us coming out of that tunnel where the horizon was all crooked? We were able to fix it up, as well as have Photoshop automatically fill in the empty spots for us. Very nice. Next, we took a look at the magical spot healing tool. Remember the roadside sign we were able to magically remove and have blend into the background? That's very cool. Similarly, when we converted to the other spot healing tool, we were able to cut some foliage out of one side of the image and paste it back into the other, even further camouflaging the melding or the merging that we'd done originally. Very, very cool. All right, we ended this section with a look at the text tool. Very easy to use. Click on the tool, click on a part of the image, and start typing, and you're adding text to your image. Easy enough. All right, that concludes this section. I look forward to meeting you again in our next one, when we're going to start looking at the guided wizards. Cool enough. That'll be some fun. But in the interim, as I suggested earlier, make sure you get some photos into Photoshop and start practicing some of these techniques we've been covering. The only way you learn is to practice. And remember that if you make a mistake, just undo it. If you get so deep that you feel you can't get back, just go ahead and close that photo and reopen it again without saving, and you've not lost a thing. So no harm, no foul. All right, that concludes this one. We'll see you in the next section. Remember, keep on learning.